Em Rusciano and Michael Lucas.
I need to write a song. Everything is problematic.
This is Emsolation.
Because I have to find a way to dump the bodies.
I mean, do you think there's a universe where you could be rewarded with $100,000 for not having sex? I would have been making bank.
If you're listening now and you're in Melbourne and you're not wearing a mask, you can't be friends with Michael and I. I'm sorry, you're out.
You're in Emsolation.
What an episode. Wow. Welcome to Emsolation, another week, eh? Here we are. I just want to start this episode by saying a very happy 30th birthday to Joel Creasy. It's on the 11th of August, which is the day the podcast gets released, Tuesday. We were all planning on having this extravagant musical theatre-themed dinner party. I was going to sing. His boyfriend Jack, who's an amazing singer, was going to sing. Lucy Durack was going to sing. It was going to be this huge thing, which has now kind of been reduced down to, a phone call, a video phone call. So happy 30th, Joel Creasy. If you guys remember, maybe go just chuck him a little happy birthday at Joel Creasy, because 30 is a big deal, especially, because he's an immaculate gay man. He's worried that 30 means the end, and I want to reassure him that 30 is the start. Oh, there we go. Look, I need to give a little bit of a content warning today. And considering the past episodes that I have not given content warnings to, there is really something to come for you. Today, Michael and I deep dive into, I don't know if I back that term now. We deep dive into Cardi B's new song, W.A.P, which does stand for Wet Ass Pussy. And which is totally cool, fine. It's a song that is number one everywhere. It's had 24 million downloads, the video, which is one of the most extraordinary videos I've ever seen for all the reasons. But we do kind of a deep dive into, women being overtly sexual and how, hip-hop has predominantly been this male misogynist playground, and there's been a lot of backlash to the video, but also a lot of love. And we do talk about some of the lyrics. And look, I'm just saying, maybe don't play this if you're driving the kids to school, if you're in another state, not in Victoria, or maybe don't play it, while you're cooking dinner out loud. This feels like maybe it's just a headphone or solo listen. I'm just wanting to put it out there just so you don't get any surprises if your 5-year-old comes out and starts rapping about W.A.Ps. So there's that. And also we talk about Jenny Mikakos. Now, if you're not aware of who Jenny Mikakos is, she is the Victorian Health Minister. And on Saturday night, I suspect after a few vinos, she shot out a few tweets basically saying she was deeply sorry if her efforts hadn't been enough. And she talks about the independent inquiry and the failings in the government-run hotel quarantine. And it was a long, long thread. And just in case you weren't across Twitter or didn't know, I just did want to do what we call a reset in – there's my radio brain kicking in. So when Michael and I talk about Jenny Mikakos, we're talking about the Health Minister and the late-night tweets that she sent out, in case that isn't clear. We also talk about beauty sheets for your flaps. So it is a vulva-heavy episode. It is also – I'm going to put it out there. Oh, my washing machine's ending. Can you hear it? God, so everything beeps at me in this house. I've got a new rule about beeping. I'm on a tangent. Don't worry. So I had a chocolate cake sent to me last week. It was so yum. But I made myself a deal. I was allowed to get the chocolate cake out of the fridge. I had to keep the fridge open and I would eat the chocolate cake, but I had to stop eating when the fridge started beeping at me. So I would monitor my consumption. Oh, God, it's been a long lockdown. It's only been a week of the new one. So, yeah, it's a very vulva-heavy episode. But as I was saying, when I lost my train of thought, when I was thinking about chocolate cake and eating the beeping of the fridge being my timer, it's my favourite ever episode we've done, honestly. Like, I think it's my favourite. And I'm going to call this is why this episode is called Em's favourite episode ever, because we swing from politics to Cardi B to vagina beauty masks with the greatest of ease. And it's such a good representation of my friendship with Michael, of my brain. It's been a funny old time on social media for me. I've had some ups and downs. But, I just wanted to give a content warning, let you know this is my favourite episode. You're in for a treat. And strap in. That's all I have to say. Strap in, strap on, get ready. Thank you for being here. As always, I appreciate you. I hope you're doing okay. I've been getting so many messages from people listening to the podcast and saying that it's helping you in some way, which is my greatest wish. All right, I'll shut up. Play the music.
Jen Rusciano and Michael Lucas. This is Emsolation.
Okay, well, here he is. We're feeling stronger than ever because Suts was on our screens with I would say, a 5-day growth. Michael Lucas, would you say 5 days?
I think it's safe to say he did not use a razor any time on his day off, and I support it so thoroughly.
Brett Sutton, of course, we're speaking about the Chief Health Medical Officer. That's how we do talk about him now. Sluts for Suts. Hashtag away. Michael and I, unabashedly, sluts for Suts. There's no slut shaming on the Emsolation podcast. I won't have it.
Okay.
I won't have it. So we were very excited to see him back on our screens. How do you feel he's going? What do you think's happening for him?
I think there's a lot going on, for sure. For sure. I mean, clearly, his team's being shuffled. He's getting interstate help coming in. Also, now he's got a legion of women and men who are sexually obsessed with him. There's just a lot going on in Brett Sutton. But tell you what, he only gets better looking. And I've gone back and assessed the pictures, and I don't just think it's because my Stockholm syndrome's getting worse. I actually think he did emerge from that break better looking. And also he was grilled about whether or not, he was retiring or whatever. And then just that bit he smiled and went, I'm going to see this pandemic through.
Oh, what a superhero. Yeah. Oh, my God. Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes I just have a light stubble and an open collared shirt on, and I'm happy with that. Also, how was the accusations flying that he was holding back information? Did you see that?
No.
Did you?
That's right. Yes, and he had to go on Twitter and say, any question, just hit me up. And you know what? I read every single one of the questions that he was hit with, and not one of them was, who's your wife? Are you married? And I was impressed. Well done, Victorians. You're carrying yourself with a lot more grace than we are on this podcast.
Clearly. Imagine if I was sent in. Brett, just on the pandemic, would you say your marriage was happy or just okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, how close are you to thinking about you might want to change up in a few years?
Knowing that there's this fervour about you, knowing that everyone wants you to be the next Bachelor, has it shifted the dynamic?
Yeah. Brett, have you ever thought about delivering the press conferences topless? Is that something you've ever thought about? Brett, do you swim, and if so, where and what time?
Or just any form of working out that would require less covering than the suits you're currently wearing.
Brett, do you ever film yourself eating? And my email address is... How would you... No, I better stop. But I have to say, what did caught my eye, Jenny Mikakos, over the weekend. Look, I just want to say, we've all been there, Jen. We've all been there. We've all had a few vinos and then possibly shot off a text or an email or, in her case, a tweet to thousands of people.
A thread. Quite the thread. But also, I mean, clearly, I totally agree. It probably was after a few ones. But what I loved about it was how much she thought about it. Because any sort of apology that starts with a thread, I've grown up inspired by Greeks' most enduring contribution to civilization, democracy. You really...
She started with the ancient Greeks.
Athenian statesmen, the Parthenon. And then we wound our way in until we got to the hotel inquiry. But I really enjoyed the ride. What a
Jenny. So she's Victoria's Health Minister, guys, if you're unaware, Jenny Mikakos. And on Saturday night at 11:45 p.m, this beautiful story was sent out by her. And it was very heartfelt. But I saw the time they were sent out and read the next day. I was like, oh, doll. I wonder how she woke up Sunday. I'm really interested to know. We all wake up Sunday after sending off a questionable text or email after a few wines, and we all go, oh, shit. I wonder if there was a grovelling apology sent to Brad or to Dan, just going, oh, God, so I got on the Pinot and I was reading some Aristotle and I was just trying to compose myself and I lost my mind, guys. Should I delete it? And Dan would be like, nah, leave it, Jen, you're right. It makes us look human. Yeah. I just feel like it was very deliberately left. She didn't delete it. And she hasn't apologised for it.
By that stage, it was in every news outlet in the country, so it wouldn't have done much good to delete it. The damage was absolutely done. But having said that, in my mind, no damage. I liked it. It was human. And I don't mind a politician. It's refreshing to me when a politician says, we probably made mistakes, I admit it, and we're doing the best we can. I would rather that than just non-stop spin.
Yeah, but there was one bit where she said, if I have not done my job, I apologise. Like that, just that little seed of the if. You know when someone apologises and said, if what I said offended you, then I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's, it's the whole, it's not a real apology. That's not. It did, and you have. But I still like it. I don't think it's hurt them in any way. I mean, the idea that she's written, there's nothing to fear in seeking the truth. It's like, oh God, Jen.
Yeah.
I feel like that's on a poster in her office with a kitten hanging off a high wire or something. Like she's reading that.
You need to contact her and say, Jen, next time you've opened the Pinot and you've got Twitter open, just call me. Just call me.
Call me. Call anyone. She doesn't have a Michael Lucas in her life. Because if I was about to go and tweet my innermost thoughts, I would definitely call you before I did it and go, do you think I should be quoting ancient Greeks and apologising for this huge bungle? Like, do you think this is now the time, Saturday night at 11:45? And you're like, bitch, step away from the computer. She didn't have anyone to say, bitch, step away from the computer to her. That's the thing.
Or sometimes with you it's just, you know what? This paragraph is where you've taken it too far. Lose that and you're right.
Oh, and I also know you're back on the Dan train.
Transformed. I mean, it was really hurting me to have a sense of conflict about him. It really was. Because,
tell me why. Why are you back on the train? What's flipped you?
Insiders Sunday, Peter Van Onselen, who is, I would say, a pretty centrist commentator and pretty balanced, was sort of talking about the Victorian response. And he was sort of saying, look, let's just keep in mind, security guards were used in other states. They were used in W.A. and then he said, and let's keep in mind, and I presume he can back this up because he's not one to say something like this unless he could, that it was Dan Andrews at the National Cabinet who advocated for the whole country to adopt a policy of hotel quarantine. And if he hadn't pushed so hard, like the plan at that point was for international travellers to just isolate at home, which would have been a disaster and which would have meant that every state would be in the state Victoria was. But Dan pushed and suggested that hotel quarantine was necessary for the entire country. So you can look at him as a failure for Victoria, or you can look at him as the hero that saved Australia from an enormous second wave. It really did change things for me to think, hang on. And that's clearly why, by and large, they haven't taken out the axe to him federally that much. If they know that he was the person that pushed for that policy across the country, then it's pretty hard to criticise.
I don't know. I mean, I understand why that. I just feel like you were ready to flip-flop very quickly. I
really wasn't. I just listen to me. No, let me back in.
No, like it's fine. You're a softer touch than I am in life. I'm far more Italian in that sense. I'm way more Don Corleone than you are. Like in terms of if you fuck with my family,
And Dan is in your family.
And no. Like he's out of the family at the moment. Whereas I feel like you're more ready to let Dan back in.
Oh, okay. Oh no, I am. Yeah, no, I am.
Yeah, no, I feel like for me, he's still got to win me back. Like I still think he's a great leader, but I really think there's been some monumental fuck ups that we need to understand. But I also understand why they're holding back on giving. I mean, blame isn't the most important thing right now. I mean, you do inquiries to understand where mistakes were made so the same mistakes aren't made again in the future. And those who need to be held to account are held to account. And, we learn. But generally this feels like people just want someone to blame. That's why they want to know, what happened and what the inquiries found.
Well, and that testimony, there was a testimony from a nurse that came out that was really sort of challenging.
Yeah.
Because she was just sort of saying it was the travellers in hotel quarantine that were citing sort of mental health concerns and really putting pressure on security guards to just let them out for fresh air for, bits of time. And so the security guards ended up having way more. I mean, we've built this whole narrative of the security guard sex, which may or may not have happened. But it could well have been travellers saying, I feel suicidal, please, can you let me outside?
They're investigating a suicide that allegedly happened during a quarantine period, and that's why they were trying to be a bit more human about it because they didn't want any harm to come to these like it's a really complicated, awful, nuanced. It's not as cut and dry as they hired people who went up to the task and that's why we have so much coronavirus. Like there's so many layers to this, and I guess this is why Jen did say the truth shall set us free.
Well, clearly we're a little bit divided over Jen and Dan, but we are still 100% with Brett Sutton.
Brett. we can all agree on Brett Sutton's hotness. That's fine. And his capabilities. I should have said that the other way around. I appreciate that you're back on the Dan train. I will reserve judgment. And I feel like a lot of people listening will be with me also, just like, okay, let's just wait and see what happens. But I will say I'm glad he's the one to be leading us through this right now. I think that he's not being, reactionary. He's actually governing, which is rare, let's be honest, in this day and age. Often people govern sideways. He's governing forward.
And how many press conferences in a row? Like 50 straight?
Amazing.
Insane.
And Jen says she's not had a day off. She's been non-stop. Non-stop Jen, they call her. Non-stop Mikakos. I know I want to go into a Hamilton song as well, but we can't because the man is non-stop. Yeah. So we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go with Jen and Dan, and Brett's fine though. Brett's golden, obviously.
It would take a lot. A lot would need to come out in this inquiry before he's banished.
Now, moving on to Cardi B's new song, Wet Ass Pussy.
What a transition.
Give me everything you got for this wet and gushy.
I have put a language warning at the start of this episode. And it's not sweary language, it's sexual language. And look, kids shouldn't be listening to our podcast anyway. I mean, I don't feel like we're very suitable for anyone under the age of,
But
say,
it could
15.
be on in the car or something like that.
Well, if it's on in the car, it won't be W.A.P. as what it is referred to. It will be wet and gushy is what she's changed it to make it, which actually I think is more sexual than wet ass pussy, but fine. It paints more of an
you
image,
could sort
wet
of
and
think
gushy.
she was talking about, food.
Oh, maybe MasterChef could use it as their new theme song.
Yeah.
I don't cook, I don't clean. This is how I got my ring. Yeah.
If there's a bit of a jock montage, I'm on board.
So this song is number one. Like the video has had 23 million streams in 24 hours. It's crazy. It's just blowing up. Here's a little bit of it.
I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you, I got this ring. Now from the top, make it drop. That's some wet and gushy. Now get a bucket and a mop. That's some wet and gushy. I'm talking wop, wop, wop. That's some wet and gushy. Macaroni in a pot. That's some wet and gushy. Huh.
I mean, should we give a bit of a just because I reckon some people might not be fully down on the Cardi train the way we are, because you were an incredibly early adopter, as always.
Thank you.
And I feel
was
like
early.
we've lived with her for years, but in actual fact, it was really 2018 where she really blew up. But I feel like she's been around for a decade.
I know. I mean, thank you for acknowledging my early adoption. I saw the wild, wild gem that Cardi B was early days. She is unfiltered. She is the exact opposite of what Beyonce is. Beyonce is very measured and controlled, and everything that goes out is polished and perfect. Whereas sometimes you'll get a 2 a.m. live stream from Cardi licking prawns off her long nails, and that's all the video is.
Her social media is truly next level and so entertaining. And I think one thing that we really connect with her is she is hilarious.
Oh my God.
And this song is hilarious. Like everything that she does is, I'm going to draw the weirdest, and also I'm going to say whitest connection ever with Cardi. I'm always a bit obsessed with very early Bette Midler when she sang at the gay bathhouses.
Yep.
That's where she came from. And she used to do all these sort of like stripping, remember that song that she sings, Pretty Legs, Great Big Knockers? This is before she did Beaches and was all Wind Beneath My Wings and got everything. But she was like hilariously smutty, non-judgmental and kind of empowered in those sort of environments. And Cardi, although could not have come from a more different background, but she has that level of bawdy humour in her. And she's straight out of the Bronx. Like she is just, I mean,
And
I know
former
Jenny from the block she's claimed to, but Cardi is like Bronx next level. Yeah, former stripper.
Yep.
But found it, like stripping was what allowed her to put herself through school and not at all, like completely takes an empowered stance on it. It saved her.
Yeah, and also she came from a reality TV show called Love and Hip Hop, which she's the only person to get a career out of that show. The rest, like as soon as the credits roll, their careers are done. But she was on that, and she was just as entertaining. I've gone and watched clips of her on that, and she's just got it. She's just so, and she would be so confronting for anyone who has a shred of self-confidence issues. She would be triggering to anyone.
Totally.
Who isn't confident within themselves. And she's just, I love her. And no, she's not for everyone, but that's okay. And sometimes I find myself being a little bit prudish and like clenching my anus at things that she says and does. And then I check myself. I'm like, no. She's not hurting anyone. She's very political. She's not afraid to speak out about things.
Oh, one of my favourite things is the fact that she was a big endorser of Bernie Sanders, and he would do a lot of like online interviews with her, and watching him have serious political discussions was amazing. That's right, Cardi.
She went in, can you imagine? She just had a meeting with Joe Biden as well. Oh, God, I wish I could have seen that.
Oh, no, she told him, we don't want no false promises.
I love her so much.
And so this is her follow-up album. Like her first album was huge, Invasion of Privacy, and it had Bodak Yellow. And
Yellow, yeah.
And I like it. And she's also does a lot of you probably heard her most likely on, like, tragically, the Maroon 5 song Girls
and
Like.
Bruno Mars.
Oh, yeah, she does a lot of guesties, but her solo career is amazing. And this is the first big single off the follow-up album. So all pressure's on her, and she has really delivered.
She's delivered so much that, like, Carol Baskin has come out and said she's upset with the use of big cats in her film clip, which they weren't. They were all green screened. But it's just, it's a sumptuous feast, and not in the way that Beyonce's visual.
It's not Black is King. It begins, we're panning towards a mansion and we go past a fountain. Yes. And the fountain is like 4 Cardis squatted back to each other with like the water spilling out
from
of
her
the breasts.
Yeah, amazing. And that sets the scene. I mean, if you want a better scene set, and also, I don't know if you recognise there was, well, I presume was water, but probably not, gushing out of the front door.
Oh, I certainly did.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of water play, and I don't think they're referring to the water that comes out of taps. And then Megan Thee Stallion, she also raps on it with Cardi, and it's the two of them, and they use a sample from Frank Ski, "Whores in the House." There's whores in the house, and it flips it on its head. And the reason I have an issue with all the backlash to this is because as soon as women, like Cardi is the female sexual independence warrior. She's all about women being sexual, owning their sexuality. It's okay to talk about liking sex. And I think one of my favourite lines is, "Back that Big Mac truck and park it in this small garage," or something like that is a line for the ages.
Park that Big Mac truck right in this little garage.
Haven't you got your most favourite bit?
Oh, yeah. Because Cardi as well, I often find, I'm never going to sound like more of a nerd. Yeah. I like to just read her lyrics at times because they come at you so fast, but she is such a talented rapper. And there's this verse. Yeah. And you will not believe how white I sound when I read this.
I've got a fair idea of how white you're going to sound, but go.
Just listen to where this verse goes.
Yeah, amazing.
Look, I need a hard hitter, need a deep stroker, need a Henny drinker, need a weed smoker, not a garter snake, I need a king cobra with a hook in it. Hope it lean over. He got some money, that's where I'm headed. Pussy A1, just like his credit. He got a beard, well, I'm trying to wet it. I let him taste it, now he's diabetic. I want to spit, I want to gulp, I want to gag, I want to choke. I want you to touch that little dangly thing that's swinging the back of my throat. My head game is fire. Pussy Dasani. It's going in dry. It's coming out soggy. I ride on that thing like the cops is behind me. I spit on his mic. Now he's trying to sign me. I mean, poetry. It's modern day Shakespeare.
It is.
Look, I need a hard hit, I need a deep stroke, I need a Henny drink, I need a weed smoke. Not a garden snake, I need a king cobra with a hook in it, hope it lean over. He got some money, then that's where I'm headed. Pussy A1, just like his credit. He got a beard, well I'm tryna wet it. I let him taste it, now he diabetic. I don't wanna spit, I wanna gulp, I wanna gag, I wanna choke. I want you to touch that little dangly thing that's swinging the back of my throat. My head game is fire, Punani Dasani is going and drying, it's coming outside. Yeah, I run on that thing, the cuz behind me. I spit on his mic and he tryna sign me.
What I want everyone to remember is that sex is only taboo if it's being rapped about by a woman. And for years and years, the misogyny and the putting down of women, especially women of colour in rap and hip-hop, it's what the whole bloody industry has been built on. And the fact that true women of colour are in the splits in leotards with big cats walking around them talking about loving sex while twerking their vaginas on the ground is so empowering and the energy that 2020 needs. I'm not joking.
She's planted her flag. Also, weirdly, there's a Kardashian in there. That bit I didn't understand. I need help with that one.
No, I don't like that. I don't know why she's in there. Maybe I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't know. I was very confused because all the other women she had in there were women of colour, Normani. Like she was promoting a lot of young up-and-coming black artists. And then Kylie Jenner appeared walking in like a leopard print, and I didn't understand. Maybe they're friends.
She didn't even really do anything as well. She just sort of wandered on in and then sort of wandered into a room, and that was it.
It has annoyed a lot of people. That's the one criticism the film clip is getting, that there was a Kardashian-Jenner involved. But it's cool.
I suspect Cardi, she's an excellent businesswoman. I suspect she thought,
smart.
if I put a Kardashian in here, it's just gonna get so much more publicity. But let me tell you, Cardi, you didn't need anything else. You had it. You were gonna get everything. And also, I love that there's a Republican congressional candidate who came out against it. He said Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion are what happens when children are raised without God and without a strong father figure. And he added that the song made him want to pour holy water in his ears.
I don't cook, I don't clean. Yes. Look, am I going to play this music at my grandmother's 80th? No. Okay? There's a time and a place for Cardi. Are you going to put this on the way to school unless you want your daughter singing things like, back the Big Mac truck into the small garage? No. But is it something you're going to put on when you're out for your rage walk during the day, Melbourne? Yes, it is. And I'm here for it, and I won't hear anyone besmirching wet ass pussy.
You have to stand for something in this world. And
Exactly.
Rosiano is standing for Cardi B's wet ass pussy.
Yeah, I am. And I just feel like if this song is confronting, it is confronting when you listen to it. I played it in front of my husband, Scott, who's, very open-minded about it. I saw him not flinching, but going, oh, wow, she's really going there. Like he was, as if, can you ever think of a more loaded situation than me playing a song for my husband and watching every micro reaction just to see if he is upset in any way by this enormous feminist statement, by this female sexual queen, by this black woman saying, I'm going to flip the head in the narrative on hip-hop and R&B and rap. Do you think my husband would show anything other than interest and support?
It would be an incredibly dangerous, hazardous move on his part to even have a flicker.
He was
facial
good.
Control must have
was
been
amazing.
intense.
Yeah, all credit to my husband. He reacted perfectly. He reacted with curiosity, which is the perfect way to do it. And I have a complete thesis ready to go, as I've just delivered on this podcast. But again, I want to just say, please don't go pop on wet ass pussy around the house while you're cleaning if you've got children. Because unless you want, my big kids are 13 and 18, and they'll
be listening to it anyway.
They'll listen to it anyway because, and Odie loves Cardi B. But it will spark some interesting dinner conversations if younger children hear it. I'm just warning you now. And it is not for everyone, and it is very confronting for people who aren't maybe overtly sexual or talk about sexuality. I'm not saying that this song is acceptable family viewing or listening, but I do love what it stands for. I rest my case, Your Honour. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Well done. We will now adjourn.
Yeah, before I was going to talk about vagina masks, but we've probably done too much vulva talk.
Can you ever really say that on this podcast?
I get sent products a lot. I get sent things for people want me to try, and they want me to tweet about them, or they want me to Instagram them, so all my followers think, oh, this is great, and they buy the stuff. And I generally don't mention the things I get sent unless I really love it. That's kind of the rule. Or unless I'm getting paid.
So people try, but they're no dice.
All the time, yeah. I mean, and I kind of have the people that send me things, it has to be, if it's going to get mentioned, it's got to be usually a female-owned business, a small business, a local business, making something that is ethically sustainable or something that will benefit my followers or something, it's reasonably priced. Like there's all these checklist things. Unless it's like, say, I don't know, Arnott's Biscuits, and they want to pay me a lot of money.
Unless they've got quite a bit of money to pay, in which case
correct.
We'll rethink.
No, but there's two categories for me posting. One, like a lot of times people will say, oh, we'll give you the free product and we'll pay you a bit of money. And I'll be like, how about I pay for the product, and if I like it, I'll mention it. I generally pay for the small business stuff because they're small businesses. But if a big company comes along, like Arnott's or someone, and they say, we've got all this money to give you and you can do whatever you want and you get to eat chocolate biscuits, and that company's not questionable, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Flat out. Because especially if they let me have creative control, then I feel like I have a lot of love for that company because they trust me and they trust my audience. And that's how, to be honest, that's how I'm making the money to pay my mortgage at the moment. Let's be real. Anyway, I got sent a specific product, and it was a vulva mask, and initially I thought it was maybe fun, maybe it was a little Batman thing I could position above my vag for later. Maybe it was like a Wonder Woman thing, like an actual mask, or maybe we're stepping coronavirus up. Maybe there's coronavirus protection. I don't know, but no. It was like a beauty sheet mask. You know those things that you put across your face?
Yeah.
For your vulva.
Right.
And it set me off. It set me off because I just feel like there is enough shame around women's bodies. And when you think about it, like I remember being a teenager desperately trying to muffle the sound of me opening the wrapper of my pad out of fear that someone would hear. That I've got my period, or, just trying to get rid of pubic hair, or all the shame that there is around women's bodies. And I just feel like this is another layer of what I need to worry about.
But what does it achieve, the mask? Like it sort of, because when you put it on your face, it's all like hyper moisturization.
Correct.
Right,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. And it's like the vagina, the vulva, which is the correct anatomical term for that entire area. The vulva is a self-cleaning oven. I have worked with the Melbourne Sexual Health Clinic.
God, I wish I really had a self-cleaning oven in my kitchen, by the way. Just side note.
Me too. Do they even exist? Do self-cleaning ovens, like in my mind, a self-cleaning oven, like you turn it on and then the little hands appear and they get scrubbed. How does a self-cleaning oven actually work?
We need to get some sort of a meeting between an oven manufacturer and a gynecologist to figure this out.
But I tweeted this I Instagrammed this rant about it. And then the owner, the lady that makes them reached out to me and I felt really bad. So I went through so I took the rant down because, she's just trying to make money. She's just trying to kind of do some hustle. She's a really nice lady. I actually know her and I didn't realize it was her brand, to be honest. And I probably wouldn't have gone on the rant if I had have known that I knew her as well as I do. And she's a lovely human and a mother of 4 children. So I felt bad. So I guess it's been a really weird weekend between Cardi and Brett and Jenny and Dan and the vagina masks. I've had a really weird emotional weekend. And you dumped me for some stupid Zoom dinner. And
I'm so sorry. Well, if it makes you feel any better, karma came back because we accidentally ruined our dinner.
Good. Because is there anything more disappointing than asking someone, lowering yourself to say, hey, do you want to Zoom? And then having your best friend come back and go, oh, sorry, I'm already Zooming with someone else.
Is there anything on Sunday night?
Is there anything lamer in 2020 than being bumped for someone else's Zoom? I can't even think of it. Is there anything lamer than being out-Zoomed by someone else?
It's probably not a social high point. I'll concede.
Anyway, I just wanted to kind of clear up the mask situation.
Did that clear it up, or did everyone just walk away going, God, I feel more conflicted about this, whatever. I feel sorry for the lady. I feel uncertain about my vulva moisturising mask.
Oh, well, welcome to 5 minutes into M. Russiano's mind.
This is where you were at 2 a.m.
Yes. You just had a brief vacation into Russiano's deep psyche. Imagine how exhausting it is living it 24/7.
I get little glimpses.
I know. Look, if you want to pop a sheet mask onto your vagina, fine. But just know you don't have to. And that is the takeaway message from me today, okay? You don't need to. Everything's fine in there. But if you feel like treating yourself, sure.
Well done for that statement, and well done for not starting by talking about a bust of the great Athenian statesman Pericles. You clearly thought about it, but you didn't overthink it.
Oh, Jenny. Oh, Jenny Mikakos. All right, well, God, I think this is my favourite ever episode. I'm not going to lie. I think I'm going to call it M's favourite ever episode. That is the name of the ep today. How exciting. We've gone politics and wet-ass pussy. I mean, really. And rounded it out with self-cleaning oven.
Your two great passions. You do. It does feel like if you have a legacy, it's bringing vaginas closer to the centre of the national conversation.
It should be. Imagine if we made vaginas the centre. Imagine if we made a big deal about women. Imagine. I'm doing it slowly, quietly, in my own way. Quietly.
Would we say being on stage with 24 dancing vaginas is a quiet way, doing it in a national special? Was playing
very
on Channel
quiet.
10 about 4 times.
Yeah, but while watching them, I was able to kind of hammer home that unfair domestic labour distribution. Women are very angry with the system set up against them to make sure that they're held down. Like there were layers, but I had to distract people with the massive vulvas.
Of course. Well done.
I'd love Matt, my editor, Matt Curry, he cuts all these up. I would love a vulva count if you could possibly just count.
An official tally.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The official tally is 8 vaginas, 10 vulvas, and countless pussies.
Oh, now I've been teasing on Instagram. You and I are interviewing someone very special.
I've loved all the guesses, by the way.
Oh, the guesses have been amazing. They haven't guessed the
If
person
only
yet.
some of these. I mean, obviously. Let's just say if we had found contact with Brett Sutton, we wouldn't have been able to keep that a secret.
No.
Same with Madonna.
This is a big deal. Should we tell people? Or I'm scared to tell people.
No, don't, because there's still a slight chance.
Yep.
Yeah, there's still a slight chance.
Yeah.
It's a difficult person, not a difficult person, but a difficult schedule.
Yeah.
And
this person is very busy and
particularly this week, an intense week. We're very, very gracious that he or she or they have agreed to speak to us.
It's a big name. It's a massive name, especially for listeners of this podcast. It's a big, big name and an exciting name, an exciting occasion. All will be revealed. You'll hear this. I don't know when you'll hear it. We'll see how we go. We're interviewing them tomorrow, so on Tuesday or today when the podcast comes out. This is so confusing. All right, I'll talk to you later in the week.
Bye.
This is Emsolation.
Well, thanks for listening. Poor Matt. Imagine being the editor of this podcast. He actually got an email saying, could you mind counting how many times we mentioned the word vulva? In the end, not as many as I thought. I'm now sitting outside. It's a beautiful day in Melbourne. The sun helps. I've got my little baby here who just ate blue chalk and my eldest child eating baby biscuits. Are they good? Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. I can't wait for you to hear our very special guest. If you're a Emsolator, if you're a patron of this podcast, you know who we're talking to. You know, because that is the benefits of being a member of this podcast. And if you want to become a member of this podcast, you can go to emraciano.com, go to the listen page, and all the info there is, it's all there. They'll give you all the information you need. All right, I'm off. I'll be hearing you on the bonus ep and, of course, back on Thursday. Stay safe, stay well, do what you need to do to get through, as long as it's not illegal, which means don't go outside of your 5-kilometre radius and wear your masks. There's a lot of good mask fashion happening at the moment. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing you. And if you're in the rest of Australia, fuck you. Haha, joking. Just a little bit. Love you. Jealous. Bye.